Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to Joy News today. I am Emefa Akosia Adeti. We're live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. Coming up this afternoon, Supreme Court has struck out the supplementary affidavit filed by suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo in a unanimous decision. We'll speak to our man in court as Dr. Siogabra questions Torkornoo's stay in office and opposes calls for live broadcast of impeachment hearings.
That she herself has been sworn, she says it shall not be televised. There should be in camera. That's what I've again seen lawyers quoting. You yourself, Chief Justice, and your own laws say that this particular process should be confidential, hopefully to protect her own interest, because we don't know all the kinds of things that may come out.
More on this and other stories. Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. Please stay for details. Many thanks for staying with us this afternoon. First, in a unanimous decision, the Supreme Court has struck out the supplementary affidavit filed by suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. The Supreme Court says the affidavit breaches the confidentiality of impeachment proceedings as outlined in Article 146 of the Constitution. The court, therefore, upheld the counter-application by the Deputy Attorney General, finding merit in the argument that the affidavit discloses sensitive information meant to be kept in camera. Now, the Supreme Court is now hearing the substantive application. We're joined by a member of our legal affairs, there's Kweku Asante. Kweku, now, how did the court really arrive at this decision? We'll try and reconnect with Kweku Asante again, as the Supreme Court is still sitting on the substantive case while they have unanimously ruled on the interlocutory injunction that the suspended Chief Justice was seeking the Supreme Court to grant her. But in a unanimous decision, the Supreme Court has struck out the supplementary affidavit filed by suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. The court says the affidavit breaches the confidentiality of impeachment proceedings as outlined in Article 146 of the Constitution. The court therefore upheld the counter-application by the Deputy Attorney General, finding merit in the argument that the affidavit discloses sensitive information meant to be kept in camera. Now, the Supreme Court is now hearing the substantive application, but let's speak to my colleague Kweku Asante. Kweku, how did the court arrive at this decision?
If I didn't quite catch your initial question, if you can come again. I didn't
let's start with how the court arrived at the unanimous decision to strike out the request by the Chief Justice on the supplementary affidavit.
So yes, it was the Attorney General Department that did move an objection to the supplementary affidavit that had been filed by the Chief Justice. And that supplementary affidavit did argue spiritedly that the rights of the Chief Justice had been breached, and that when she did go to the committee, she was told that first, that she, without her, the lawyers will not be heard.
Without her, the lawyers will not be heard on that specifics. The next time that she went, she was body searched and phones and other things were taken. These are the averments that are in the affidavit. That is the position that the Chief Justice, suspended Chief Justice, makes in making the point that she had been suffered to real mental torture in this matter. The Attorney General did make the point that Article 146 mandates that all proceedings with this committee must be held in camera, and that the Chief Justice, having deposed affidavits, having deposed arguments on this matter, was disclosing matters that the Constitution wanted to be in camera. Ultimately, the court sided with a position taken by the Attorney General's office in that matter, which was argued by the Deputy Attorney General, Justice Sremsai. And then they unanimously ruled that the affidavit, a supplementary affidavit that formed a chunk of the case of the suspended Chief Justice, discloses information that are meant to be secret, for which reason it has been struck out and it will not form part of the case currently ongoing.
Right. We'll come to that a bit later. But how did the suspended Chief Justice legal team respond to the court's decision? Did they indicate any next move?
I can't hear. The sound is a bit faint if they can check that, but I can't hear you very clearly.
Okay. We're hoping to hear how her legal team reacted to the decision today. Are they indicating any steps after? Well, we'll try and connect with my colleague to bring us details of what's happened so far. Now we know that at least by unanimous decision, that supplementary affidavit has been struck out. We're also learning that the court is still sitting on the substantive matter, and Kweku Asante is still in court, and we'll bring you details of that. But still on the Chief Justice, a leading member of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Dr. Ekos Fiogabra, has expressed concerns over why suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo remains in office and continues to make what he describes as an unlawful attempt to influence the terms in her impeachment hearings. In a fresh legal maneuver, lawyers of the Chief Justice have returned to the Supreme Court in an effort to halt the proceedings, arguing that the process being conducted by the 5-member committee appointed by the President amounts to a travesty of justice. Some loyalists of the Chief Justice have also called for the impeachment hearing to be broadcast live, citing the need for transparency. However, speaking in an exclusive interview with Blessed Soga on Upfront, on the sidelines of the African Development Bank annual meetings in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, Dr. Fiogabra argued that the law does not permit such broadcast. He further suggested that it may, in fact, be in the Chief Justice's own interest for the proceedings to be held in camera.
Based on the laws that she herself helped to pass,
right.
And she herself helped to sit on as a Chief Justice, we're implementing the law. She said the law is the law. And so the law is the law, and the law is being applied to her. And the incidents that are being cited, unless she proves that they are not correct, that they are false.
She says she's been taken through mental torture already through the process. So she feels
it depends on how every individual responds to adversity. We all go through adversity. We have family members who die, we have people who have accidents, and it depends on how we handle it. So I won't comment on what kind of adversity she claims she's feeling. All that I heard was that the location that she thought a certain hearing would be conducted was not what the government chose to have the hearing in. But it's the government who chooses where to have the hearing. And if you said that the hearing itself was not fair in terms of the procedures, or they didn't follow the rule of law, I may have more sympathy with that. But all I've heard is about, oh, you took me to a place which I didn't think.
She's calling for and those who believe in it are calling for a televised
the law that
process.
she herself has been sworn, she says, it shall not be televised. There should be in camera. That's what I've again seen lawyers quoting. You yourself, Chief Justice, and your own laws say that this particular process should be confidential, hopefully to protect her own interest, because we don't know all the kinds of things that may come out.
Right.
And so, out of respect to her family and her future and her own legacy, it may be in her interest to allow the law to work without trying to change anything at this stage.
As an elderly person, would you advise her to resign? I mean, would that be in her own interest?
It's not up to me, because a resignation is an individual thing a person will decide based on the overall information available to them at any particular time. But the good news, as far as I know, about the Chief Justice and other public prominent positions, is that you retire entirely on your salary.
Right.
But I don't know if you don't resign and you get sacked, whether it is something different. But otherwise, the Chief Justice retires on a salary. So someone will ask, if you are going to retire on your salary, then why worry so much about
staying on?
About staying on? When your actual, well, of course, when you retire on your salary, unless you want to stay there because of this opportunity to have your husband and children travel, etc., which obviously when you're not there, you'll not be able to have. But otherwise, other normal benefits, you have those benefits. So it's an individual judgment. And
now, the government is proposing sweeping reforms to Ghana's legal education system. A new bill currently at the consideration stage in Parliament aims to end the Ghana School of Law's long-decade monopoly on professional legal training. Speaking on the floor of Parliament, Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga revealed that the draft legislation seeks to overhaul the current legal education architecture. It also includes proposals to revise key legal governance structure, such as the processes for the removal of the Chief Justice.
By the time we finish passing these bills, the legal architecture of Ghana would have received a significant overhaul. Right, Honorable Speaker, the Attorney General will also introduce several subsidiary legislation. They include the corporate insolvency and restructuring regulations, the Court of Appeal rules, Economic and Organized Crime Office operations regulations, Economic and Organized Crime Office terms and conditions of service regulations, High Court Civil Procedure Amendment rules, interpretation regulations, Judicial Service terms and conditions of service regulations, Legal Aid Commission regulations, Supreme Court rules, and very significantly, removal from office of justices of the Supreme Court rules. The President, John Dramani Mahama, is determined to fast-track legislative reforms to strengthen our institutions of governance and further entrench our democracy. The President is committed to legislative clarity with transparency when it comes to the constitutional mechanics of the removal of justices of the superior courts.
Now, as part of these reforms, the government plans to accredit qualifying law faculties at various universities to run professional legal education programs. All eligible candidates will then be required to sit for a standardized bar examination, ensuring a level playing field. The Majority Chief Whip and Member of Parliament for South Dine, Roxanne Nelson Dapamekbo, speaking on PM Express with Evans Mensah, described the current legal education system as compromised and said the reforms are long overdue.
Let every faculty accredited to run the academic programs, the LLB programs, let them be accredited or licensed, so to speak, to train their own lawyers.
So they'll also, the bar, you can sit there.
So we have one bar exams, which could be conducted twice a year. We have one in January and we have one in July. When you pass it in January, you are called to the bar sometime in March or April. When you pass the June one, you are called sometime in October or September, or October in the same year. So that we can have as many lawyers as we want.
So for your purpose, just break it down. So University of Ghana
will become, already the faculties are calling themselves law schools anyway.
Yes.
What becomes of a law school when you can't train lawyers? So we want the faculties to be converted into law schools.
So my part 1, part 2, if I'm in KNUST, I'll just write it there.
Thank you. No, you don't write it there. You are trained. So you do the academics. KNUST, I think they do 3 years academic.
Yeah.
LLB, if you are from SS, 4 years. If you are postgraduate, post-LLB, you do 3. Then, depending on the content of the professional training, it can be 1 year, 1.5 years, or 2 years maximum. If somebody is so focused, the person should be able to complete it in a year because it's practical courses. When you are ready, you sit for the bar.
Okay. Anywhere?
Anywhere.
You don't have to come
but
to
the bar exams will be conducted by the GLC.
You're watching Joy News today. Please stay with me. We'll be right back with more.
Imagine a family without a home. Imagine a song without a voice. Imagine a church without prayers. Imagine a government without citizens. Imagine democracy without journalists. Imagine a world without the media. life is full of issues and stories about people, communities, and governments. Stories that have to be told by well-trained.
Welcome back to Joy News today, and talking about the monopoly that the current government seeks to break on legal education in Ghana. Joining us on the line is Hassan Asari of the National Association of Law Students. And thank you for joining us this afternoon. Is this the right move to restructure legal education and accredit other university faculties to offer professional training? The right timing, is it good, and the structure as well? If you can hear me, kindly unmute. We'll try and connect again with Hassan Asari. Right. If you can hear me, let us know your thoughts. Is this the right move to restructure legal education?
I believe so. I think this is something that we've been fighting for over the period. The advocacy is beginning to yield results because we feel education should be something that should be open in the sense that we've had, as it were, Makola all this while, and it looks like we open the base and then we create some kind of a peak system where everybody is choked at the top. Now, going to Makola in itself does not make one a lawyer. It is only at the point where you've written the bar exams and you have passed that you become a lawyer. So if this is decentralized, it helps everybody to have access. We all pay school fees. The painful side is some of these students actually get out of the country to go and pay dollars and pounds and whatever and come and do post-call in Ghana. So in one way or the other, we are losing money even for students going out. And not only that, we are paying fees to be educated. So why should we limit it so that everybody does not get access to go to school, as it were? So I don't know why it has become a problem all these years. And I'm very happy that the government has decided to do this. Not only that, but to even allow the entrance exams to be done twice a year. That is commendable. And it's something that I think we should encourage.
Okay, let's get clarity. Has the challenge been where people will have the academic training, or the challenge has been getting access into the legal education, the professional level? Which one has been the challenge? Because as I understand, you can write, the new reform seeks to allow people to take the bar exams twice in a year, not the entrance to the professional level. Which one are we seeking clarity on, please?
I think in both cases, it is possible.
Okay.
To do both
Apologies, we tried to engage Hassan Asari on this, but unfortunately we're unable. But of course, in our subsequent bulletins, we'll try and engage all stakeholders on this matter and bring you details of that. But away from that, government is set to roll out its much-touted 24-hour economy policy. President John Mahama has revealed that he has received and reviewed the complete draft of the policy, describing it as a coherent and actionable framework poised to deliver real results. He says the 24-hour economy policy will include activating the Lake Volta Lake as a major transport highway and decentralizing it to the district level. Speaking during a multi-sectoral engagement on the implementation of the 24-hour economy policy at the Jubilee House, the president disclosed that the government is collaborating with Parliament to establish a 24-hour economy secretariat. So let's engage my colleague Maxwell Agbagba on this. Maxwell, what more can you report on this?
Well, the multi-sectorial engagement just ended here. The president.
The multi-sectorial engagement just ended here with President Mahama. outlining what the 24-hour economy policy is going to entail. And key among some of the things that he talked about is the Volta Lake corridor, which he says would improve the use of the Volta Lake. The Volta Lake, we told, is going to be activated as a transport, corridor to help, businesses 24 hour round. A lot of contributions, a lot of interaction has happened here, all, going forward to properly shape the 24-hour economy policy. We're told that on Tuesday, the president mentioned that on Tuesday, the final document will be unveiled, to the public. But we are privileged to have here with us the president for GUTA, Joseph Obeng. He's going to talk to us about what he makes of the interaction with President Mahama. Mr. Obeng, you're welcome to Joy News. I want to find out, first of all, what you make of the interaction with President Mahama.
Oh, it's very fruitful. The policy is going to be launched very soon, and the Ministry of Trade and then conjunction with the presidency itself want to solicit the support of the business community, also to seek our input and also preempt some of the issues underlying the policy. So it's very important that we met today to understand what is actually going on with the 24-hour economy, especially when it's going to be launched very soon. And we are all braced for that.
Okay. I know one issue that many of you here, business leaders, are excited about is the appreciation of the cedi against the dollar. And President Mahama here today has been saying that there shouldn't be any panic. He says he doesn't envisage a situation where it will be a one cedi, $1, situation, because that is also dangerous for Ghana's export sector. But let's find out from you the appreciation of the cedi against the dollar. I heard Shamima Muslim, who's the Deputy Government Communications Minister, urging you to tell your members to reduce their prices. When is that going to happen?
Yeah, I think it has started responding. People have actually not gone to the market and all that. You see, whenever we have the gain, we share it. If we don't have, you don't share. So there are people who are saying that they haven't actually gotten the gains because they bought it at a higher price when the dollar was high. And then others also have gotten the gains by buying the dollar at a cheaper price, and it's also reflecting. Ours is a competitive market, and you don't expect that all of us will sell at the same price. But for sure, prices have started. We've started responding to the gains that we are having.
It's good to answer
And you see that people are responding. Just about a week ago, the spare parts dealers also came to appeal to their members. Initially, they were not so sure. But now everybody have seen that, and the way the trend is going, we are having stability that we see. The trend is look very good, and everybody is very satisfied with and responding positively.
Finally, before you go, what about the people in the members? How do you feel recent things?
You're watching Joy News today, and Maxwell Agbagba is still there and will bring us more details in the subsequent bulletins. But away from that, some motorists and pedestrians say movement within the central business district in Kumasi has improved significantly following the recent decongestion exercise by the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. But others are uncertain about the long-term enforcement of the initiative. Joy News' Emanuela Irabna Akwe has more in this.
It's been 3 weeks after the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly began their major decongestion exercise, and the dust is beginning to settle quite literally. The Central Business District of Kumasi is adapting to the changes. Today, the focus is on pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers. How are they adapting to the aftermath?
Before, if you are going to pass from Kesman area to the PZ, it will take like 3 hours. But I just drive through, I think 15 minutes. It's very easy and it's good.
It has helped a lot. You could see that people are patronized everywhere, and they are happy now. You see that everything is moving on. Everyone is happy.
It's now more better than it used to be. Why? At first, we couldn't just walk through like this. The whole place was congested, both left and right. But for now, we are able to walk through within some few minutes. So it's okay. It's more better.
Actually, everything is going normal because at Akufado's time, overcrowded, but now things are moving ahead. So it's better far than Akufado's government.
I will never say it is not improving. It is improving. But my worry is that why don't you find a place for the sellers or the traders before you do the decongestion exercise?
Actually, the decongestion exercise, it has made a massive improvement. You can see the atmosphere, the environment, everything is, in order. So we are encouraging the K-members to, keep on doing the good work.
There is easy movement. It would have taken me a while to get here. It will affect some, but it is better for the city to be free. It's good the streets are free. We couldn't pass here because they had taken over the streets. We hope they sustain this and it's not a one-time show.
One must commend the KMA's efforts in restoring order. Others are asking, where are the traders whose livelihoods are being disrupted, being relocated to? And as to whether the changes we see here today is going to be sustained. Reporting for Joy News, Emmanuela Erabna Akwe, Kumasi.
And back here in Accra, the demolition exercise at the Lashibi Ramsar site will continue today after a chaotic and emotionally charged first day that saw confrontations between security forces, property owners and officials. The operation aimed at removing illegal structures from the protected wetlands has sparked anger with affected residents, accusing authorities of taking bribes and encouraging property owners to build. My colleague Kenneth Jesse is there and joins us with more. Kenneth, what more can you report?
So the building behind me, which is being pulled down, was the last building that was almost head down before the closure day.
This is a twin building. So there's a building before it, which was initially pulled down yesterday. It belongs to one person, and she was one of the people that was accusing one of the officials of taking bribes and encouraging her to build. So that's the building that is being teared down. But just to my left, though, one peculiar building here is a church house of Gilgal Prayer Ministry. This building has not been pulled down yet, and it looks like the oldest building in this vicinity. Now, the reason why it's not been pulled down yet is that the people here pleaded with authorities that there are sick people in this building, and so they should be given at least a week to vacate the place, and that has been heeded too. So these people have until 1 week to vacate the place. But I want to speak to one of the people who work there to find out really why they are still here. Mami, good afternoon. Joy News, so live. Enra more pulley building way down.
Yesterday, madam, no, so my America cra, into my 1 week near from Paki Nyama, until 1 week eguso. Yeah, to 2, we started to 2 Nyama, until Monia Botrema, you be 2.
But Osha building where hanging building new, but building where there Osha ultimately say a si wache. I didn't think that Debia Yebebua near Jamodiano.
Yamia money or until I'm one entry, Omuntimimu. I'm a banon, but no musa, sorry that you say we any sword they are. Nibuya de Mao.
Obibeka said, no, more excuse. Into the Biomaba, say, Mamma 1 week, or Mamma will say,
yes, 1 week that. I'm one to me, but where they are, my 1 week. Until they are 2 years no more.
Buildings, no, yes, it's been a month, almost at a bear 1 month, 2 months. Oh, Momo, dear, no, I see a bear how many years?
Bear 5 years.
5 years. Yes. Okay. It's more free, the right people.
Oh, nyamisi yen kosra nyam nungwa hima ya asase yen fanya aso na medwuma. Nte kosra nungwa hin ena oduma ye. Nto no do betwa ha ma ye.
Nti asori dem wo no apart from say mobile sorry na dey bi im na musai wo. But say I for
high mission house nti nipa ba hin na wa ha. Eti ha.
Nti 1 week no mabobo am say mo betu afri.
Etu enu nti na madam no work on. Oh, trust us. When you was asking to akwa hwe ho no ahwe no obeye wo ho na ya park ya move akọ. Nti 1 week time na be free ha.
Okay, Midday. Okay, so MFA, that's a very peculiar case here. This building, as she rightly mentioned, has been here for the past 5 years and has never been demolished. It has never faced demolition until it was threatened yesterday. They said that they are giving them until a week for them to vacate the place. And they say they will vacate the place. The owner, the actual owner, who is also a lady, is not here today. And the woman tells me that she has gone somewhere. We don't know where she's gone to, but if you can see in your shots, this building is currently being pulled down. And at the other side also, authorities from the Greater Accra Regional Security Council, Coordinating Council, are there ensuring that things are going on smoothly. We will be approaching the Greater Accra Regional Minister subsequently, but as we speak now, this is the situation now in your shots. If my cameraman can pan to get a better view really of the place. So all these places are designated Ramsar sites which are not supposed to be inhabited at all, but they have been encroached. And these people say that they bought the lands which they thought were legitimate, but now they're being told to move out of the place. It's interesting to note that all these lands are in waterlogged areas, flood-prone areas. The land actually that is being demolished at the moment is just sitting on water. It's sitting on clear water. And if my cameraman can once again pan here, you see this gutter here. This gutter is full of water. And right across, straight ahead, there were fenced walls that were built on these edges. There were fenced walls that were built on these edges. So you can see the water along the way. We will be speaking briefly to the MC for Tema West, who has also...
Now, Kenneth, thank you. And we will still bring you that conversation a bit later because that exercise is still happening. In the meantime, though, I'll take you to the Supreme Court, where earlier, in a unanimous decision, it struck out the supplementary affidavit that the Chief Justice, suspended Chief Justice, Getu Tokono, was seeking. Now, the Supreme Court says the affidavit breaches the confidentiality of impeachment processes outlined in Article 146. Now, earlier, we also know that the Supreme Court was going to sit on the substantive matter, and currently they're on recess. My colleague, Kweku Asante, will bring us update from the Supreme Court. Kweku, if you can hear me, what's the current decision now, or the court is still on recess, and what updates can you give us?
Panel presided over by acting Chief Justice.
Ago, the Supreme Court, the 5-member panel presided over by acting Chief Justice Paul Bafuboni, took a recess to consider their ruling and revert. They have heard extensively from Godfrey Eboadame for more than half an hour, more than 30 minutes. He was on his feet, making a spirited argument for why the Supreme Court must injunct the 5-member committee from proceeding and actually allow for certain things to be done to vindicate the constitutional rights of the Chief Justice. According to Godfrey Eboadame, among other things, the Chief Justice can't waive the right for this matter to be in camera, and that this can actually be open. The committee's hearing can be on TV, on radio, for the public to hear. So I've been talking about what he believes to be the disqualifying nature of Justice Poorman and Justice Gabriel, Justice Kwame Adibosiedu, who are on this committee. And so he has made this argument for why he believes that what he believes to be constitutional breaches and the breaches of the right to fair trial of the rights of Madam Justice Tokono on this matter. He has been heard, but the Deputy Attorney General, Justice Sai, has been on his feet rebutting the points that have been made. According to Justice Sai, the points that have been made by by Godfrey Dame is simply a rehash of earlier arguments that have been dismissed by the Supreme Court in earlier injunction applications, he has argued that the threshold to meet to get an injunction from the Supreme Court is exceedingly high. You must satisfy that your case has a likelihood of success. You must satisfy irreparable damage on the part of the Chief Justice. He does not believe that the Chief Justice has made out the case for these requirements, for which reason he believes this matter ought to be dismissed. The 5-member panel also took their time, threw questions to the lawyers on both sides, and they have heard the arguments. And just like I told you about 3 minutes ago as I was stepping out, they are just gone in conclave to consider their ruling and come out. Any moment from now, they will come out, they will deliver their verdict as to whether or not the injunction application has been granted or not. And then they will set a date for us to get their full reasoned ruling. Just when I was stepping out, the Chief Justice was still seated. And the lawyer, Godfrey Dami, came to her. They had a brief conversation. He was speaking to other lawyers in the court. She's pretty pensive, in a pensive mode, waiting for what is really a make-or-break moment for her on this matter, because she's seeking to stop this process from going ahead. MFRDT.
Now, Kweku, thank you. But for purpose of education, so the first ruling specifically was on the supplementary affidavits. Now, the court has gone on recess, and by the time they return, we'll be looking to get a ruling or a decision.
Yes, the supplementary affidavit that deposed to certain facts that allegedly happened at the committee.
Right.
That is what the court has struck out. But because there's a supplementary affidavit, it suggests that there's a main affidavit which is still forming part of the record of the court, which has become the basis for which Godfrey Dami has argued in court. But the supplementary affidavit has been struck out, but the meat of the case is still on and has been argued out, and the court, any moment from now, is going to deliver a verdict.
Thank you so much, Kweku. Thank you. Now, do stay with us, because, of course, we'll be bringing you the latest, and especially when that ruling or decision is finally taken by the Supreme Court. And a little later as well, in today's Climate Focus series, a third-generation commercial users of charcoal at one of Accra's biggest eateries have shared a heartwarming story of their willingness to abandon charcoal and migrate to liquefied petroleum gas.
In Ghana, it is projected that unclean cooking methods claim about 17,000 lives annually.
Welcome back to Business here on Joy News today. My name is Winston Taki, and out to our first business story. The Africa Development Bank is projecting that Ghana's economy will grow by 4.5% at the end of the year. This was captured in the bank's Africa Outlook report released on the sidelines of its annual meetings in Ivory Coast. George Biafe has more in the rest of the story.
Growth will hit 4% at the end of this year. However, the African Development Bank in its latest report on Ghana thinks that the country will do far better than this, projecting a growth rate of 4.5%, or even better than that. This new growth rate is even higher than the World Bank's forecast of 3.9%, and even the IMF's own of 4%. The African Development Bank believes that a lot more variables in the country and even on the international market will work in favor of Ghana, resulting in economic activities picking up strongly in the coming months. However, when it comes to inflation, the African Development Bank was not that optimistic about the Ministry of Finance and Bank of Ghana's projection, averaging around 11.9%. Meanwhile, the highlight of the African Development Bank annual meetings in Ivory Coast will be the election of a new president taking over from the current boss, Dr. Kiomi Adesina, whose tenure is coming to an end. 5 candidates vying to take over from him.
Moving on, the Institute of Directors Ghana is marking its anniversary with a donation to the Jowulu Special School as it promotes ethical governance, inclusivity, and corporate social responsibility. Speaking to Joy Business, President of the Institute of Directors Ghana, Reverend Angela Carmen Apia, said this is not a one-time act but a part of a long-term relationship with the school and a demonstration of leadership.
The Institute of Directors Ghana is marking its anniversary with more than just words by giving back to the community. As part of the celebration, the Institute donated to the Jolu Special School in Accra. Speaking to Joy Business, President of IOD Ghana, Reverend Angela Carmen Appiah, reaffirmed the Institute's commitment to ethical leadership and corporate social responsibility.
As we push performance indicators in our various institutions, as we champion ethical leadership, we must also be walking the talk of good corporate governance and ethical leadership. And one way of doing that is to celebrate our differences, push for inclusivity, be mindful of our stewardship, and also look towards the less privileged in our society, contribute our quota by way of corporate social responsibility, and be mindful of the people and the planet.
According to the headmaster of the Jolu Special School, Frederick Tete, beyond donations, the school is empowering students with lifelong skills. Through bead making and craft work, they are being prepared for life beyond the classroom.
Yeah, the students who are here, most of them see reading and writing as a difficult task, and we are preparing them for future. This place is not a home for them, and definitely they will live here one day. So we thought it wise, management thought it wise to come out with something that will help them to acquire a form of a skill. That is why we introduced bead making and this doormat. They're able to use bead to do a lot of things, key holders, bracelets, necklaces, and what have you. So once they've mastered their skill, I think they can do that when they graduate from new school to when they're living. It's on that score that we exhibited some of the items for the public to see, so that they will know that disability is not inability.
As IOD Ghana celebrates its milestone, it is also helping to shape a future of inclusion where leadership is measured not just by policies, but by the empowerment of young minds.
That's all for business here on Joy News Today. My name is Winston Taki. Up next is sports.
Time to bring you some sports here. My name is Fentio Tahiru Fentio. Now, Accra Hearts of Oak will have both their men's and women's teams competing in top flight football next season, as Hawks FC, their women's side, has secured promotion to the Ghana Women's Premier League. Hawks FC earned their spot with a commanding 4-1 victory over Root Sisters this morning in the Regional Playoff Championships, sealing qualification with a game to spare. This marks a historic milestone for the club, as it will be the first time Hearts of Oak's women's team features in the country's top-tier women's league only 2 years after the team was established. Now, Black Stars head coach Otoado is urging new players to grab the opportunity as Ghana faces Nigeria in the Unity Cup later tonight. The squad is without key players like Thomas Partey, Mohamed Kudus, and Anton Semenyo. However, debut call-ups have been handed to 5 new players as well as 4 home-based players.
We played draw, but we qualified for the World Cup. And there were tensions that day. But to be honest, the Nigerian fans weren't angry on us, so they didn't harm us anyway. They were angry at their own players, so surely we had to get into the dressing room to be safe. But I think this is a conversation where the fans of Nigeria and the Nigerian team should be asked, not us. So we didn't have anything to do with this. And for us, I think for everybody, it's very important that whatever the outcome of the result is, that the spectators stay calm and safe, and I think violence shouldn't have any place in football at all. It's difficult to say. So Iñaki has been out, for example, for 3 weeks. You know, there's nothing we can do. Kudus, he came to the hotel today and visited the players. You know, so there are different things. You know, so we are still bonding, we are connecting, we're trying to do the best. But if somebody's injured, there's nothing we can do. And we have to look at the games. On the other side, it gives opportunity for a lot of other players. And this is how football is. At the moment, it's not only us, but also other teams have a lot of injuries. Some are very, very serious.
All right, kickoff for that game is at 6:45 p.m. later tonight with commentary on Joy 99.7 FM. Let's wrap up in Europe. That's where Chelsea will be chasing their first piece of silverware in more than 3 years when they meet Real Betis in tonight's final of the UEFA Conference League. Their head coach is Enzo Maresca. He's been speaking ahead of the clash.
I try to join every game. I try to be happy about every game, you know, to see if the game plan is working, how the player they enjoy the game. So for me, it's been a journey since the game we play against Servette, because we start the conference playing the playoff. We didn't start the conference, you know, already in the group. So it's been a long journey, but game after game, I try to enjoy all the games.
You've given opportunity to younger players in this squad. Are you pleased with how they've developed and come through? And has it actually gone as you thought it would with them?
Yeah, first of all, because if we decide to give them the chances, because they deserve and they are good player, for sure you have to improve always, especially when you are young like them. And overall, we try always to give them the chance when they are good player, not only in the conference, also in the Premier League. So even for them, has been a moment to grow and to improve.
As a man, are you someone that looks back on your own achievements? This is your first final as a manager. Is that something that you're proud of, or you not really thought about it?
Oh yeah, for sure I'm proud of that, because it's a European competition, it's a final. But in terms of prepare the game, I won't change. I will try to prepare the game in the way I always try to prepare all the games.
How do you think it alters the dynamic when...
And that'll be all for sports this afternoon. Back to you, MFR.
Thank you so much, Fenty. It's such a pleasure having you on Joy News today. And of course, blue is the color, football is the game, Chelsea. But anyway, you're watching Joy News today, and I'll take you to the Supreme Court again because we have a decision. And my colleague, Kweku Asante, is still on standby. Kweku, do we have a decision?
Yeah, the Supreme Court has just dismissed the application injunction filed by the suspended Chief Justice. You see Madam Gertrude Tokonu walk out of court at the moment together with the husband and the lawyer, Godfred Dummy, and they are making their way out of court. We'll try and see if we can get a word from the Chief Justice, who is just about to board her car together with the police details. And the case having been dismissed by the court, she's just boarded the vehicle, and together with the husband and the security team are leaving the Supreme Court premises at the moment. It's been a day of defeat for her and the applications that have been made. Mr. Godfrey, it's been a good day in court somehow, but your application, the substantive application, has been dismissed. What are your reactions to it? The vehicle, please. The application have been dismissed unanimously by the court. What are your initial reactions?
Well, not surprising, because really follows in the theme of what we've been witnessing. But yeah, I think that we move on. There are a lot of battles that we can fight. We think that the process is flawed, no doubt. Heavily flawed, laden with all kinds of constitutional violations. And I'm quite surprised that the Supreme Court will be more or less acceding to the perpetration of such violations against the highest judicial office holder. It's not about Justice Tokonu, as I keep saying. It's not about Justice Tokonu at all. The issues are far-reaching, and they actually impinge on matters which affect the independence of Ghana's judiciary, the security or tenure of judges and all. But if the Supreme Court, for whatever reason, does not seem to take that view, well, so be it. I think that in future, the whole nation will get to know the consequences of this.
You said there are more battles to be fought. Are there specific measures you'll be taking going forward?
I'm not here to disclose to you my line of action or plans. But clearly, what we can say is that this is a procedure that should be deplored. There cannot be a situation where a Chief Justice cannot face an inquiry set up under Article 146 of the Constitution to determine some inquiries against some petitions against her. And she's not had notice of the specific charges in respect of which a prima facie case has been made. The basis for such charges and the reasons why she's supposed to go through the inquiry. I mean, this is a basic right that is available to every citizen of the country. It's not an account of her being a Chief Justice or her requesting for the grant of higher rights than as are due ordinary citizens. She's asking for basic constitutional rights. The notice of charges that she's standing trial or she's supposed to respond to, the basis for saying that it's a case for her to answer. And indeed, this is a very significant point. It's a decision that resulted in her suspension. Are you saying that she cannot know the reason why she was suspended? She cannot know the specific charges on the basis of which the president said that she should go and stay at home and for another person to assume her office? I mean, this is very strange. It's something that is very much alien to every civilized legal system. But we'll see. We'll wait the reasons and then we'll deal with it.
Finally, from in your opinion, you have said that this process is deeply flawed. There are those who are calling for the Chief Justice to simply resign and save herself all the trouble from this. As a former Attorney General, if I were to ask your opinion as a lawyer for Madam Tokonu, what would you say to that?
Due process, rule of law, constitutionalism must prevail in Ghana. That is what we seek. It did not, on account of people putting pressure on the CJ to resign or do whatever, that will take a decision. The most important thing is that there must be an upholding of the rule of law in Ghana. And we will continue to assert our rights. The proper thing must be done. As far as I'm saying, the proper thing must be done. And she is a Chief Justice. She's been in office. She's been a judicial office holder for more than 25 years or so. She's been at the bar for almost 40 years. She knows what is due process. She knows what is constitutional rights. And I think that's what she's asking for. And how can it be correct that a judge who sat on two matters on which she also sat be called as a witness in a petition against her, and that same judge be made the chairman of the committee that is supposed to inquire into the petitions against the Chief Justice? Clearly, it's untenable. It's only in this country that, I don't know, and the question is, on what account can she be singled out for removal from office when indeed she did not sit even alone? She sat as part of a panel. One of the judges rather has been made a witness.
Thank you very much. We just heard from the former Attorney General Godfred Yeboah Dame on this matter. I'll try and see if we can get some words of the Deputy AG who has been in court making an argument. He has been leading this process from the Attorney General's perspective. A lot of the cases that have been filed, he's the one who's been leading this process so far, and he's gotten another victory on this matter. Right. Right. Mr. Sai, so this is about the fourth injunction application that have been dismissed, and you've been leading the charge. Any words on this? I will. Well, that is the Deputy Attorney General making the point.
You're watching Joy News today, and so today we have had two unanimous decisions from the Supreme Court, one on the supplementary affidavit and as well one on the injunction that the suspended Chief Justice was seeking the Supreme Court for. Now, we'll take you back again because my colleague is trying to get some interviews as well.
And the husband, who have all left right now and are taking their leave. But Godfred Dame, you've heard him make a very spirited argument for what he believes to be a very flawed judgment of the court and a very flawed process. His opinion is that this judgment is not based on law, it's erroneous. That is his view. But the court has delivered a 5-0 unanimous ruling. This is the third injunction application that has been ruled on by the court. The first one, 3-2, the second, 4-1, but this is unanimous. The members of the panel, for those of you just joining us, the Supreme Court has just ruled unanimously that the application filed by Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu seeking to stop the process to remove her from office is without any merit, and so unanimously they've dismissed that application. The panel of the court, the president of the panel, Acting Chief Justice Paul Bafuboni, Justice Johnny Kulendi was also on the panel, Justice Amadou Tanko was also on the panel, Justice Henry Kofi was also on the panel, and Justice Frimpong Ajay. These were the 5 judges who sat on this injunction application that unanimously have dismissed the application of the the suspended Chief Justice. And you saw her in a very pensive mood walk out hand in hand together with the husband, came straight to her vehicle, and then just drove off. And she's just left the court premises. We were not able to manage any word out of her because the security just shielded her away from that, and we did not manage to get any word from her. But just a recap of what has been happening in court. When we did come in and the case was called, the Attorney General's Department did raise some objections with the listing of Justice Poaman, Justice Asiedu Adibu, and the 3 members of the panel as defendants in this matter. The court dismissed that objection. It overruled it and said that there is no basis for that. And then the Attorney General Department, again led by Dr. Justice Sai, did move another application and objected to the supplementary affidavit that had been filed by the Chief Justice. The argument was that it discloses a lot of the in-camera hearings at the committee level, and these are not matters that must be part of the court record. The former Attorney General, Godfred Yeboah-Dame, disagreed with the opinion of Justice Sai on that matter, but ultimately the court ruled siding with Justice Sai on the matter in the Attorney General Department and struck out the entirety of the supplementary affidavit that was deposed to by the suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu on that matter. And then they went into the meat of the matter. There was about 40 minutes of spirited arguments by Godfred Yeboah-Dame on why he believes that a case has been made to stop this process from going on. You heard him again outside of the court saying that in his opinion, this process is deeply flawed and must not be allowed to continue up until the end. It must be stopped right in its track. Justice Poaman must be removed from the committee. Justice Asiedu Adibu must be also removed from the committee. And then we heard from the Attorney General Department that were opposed to that application. It was a back and forth. The judges kept asking the questions. And then they did go into the chambers to consider their judgment and then come back. They just delivered their ruling and it's unanimous. All 5 judges who sat on this matter have ruled unanimously that the Chief Justice's application for injunction is without any merit and same ought to be dismissed and same has been dismissed. So the Chief Justice goes home today without any legal victory. She's expected to continue submitting herself to the process that is currently underway by the 5-member committee chaired by Justice Gabriel Scott Poaman, and that process is going to continue. And that is the situation from the Supreme Court. We're just gone by. The Supreme Court has, in a 5-0 unanimous decision, dismissed the injunction application filed by the suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu that sought to suspend or that sought to halt the ongoing process to remove her from office. My name is Kweku Asante, reporting from the Supreme Court complex here in Accra.
And I am MFA Akosia Adeti. This has been Joy News today. For more on this and many other stories, do visit myjoyonline.com. Please stay for Marketplace.